Hello, can anyone hear me? Because I can't hear anyone else.
Hello, Tracy. This is Martin. Yes, sorry, I'm adjusting my screen and we're waiting for everyone to arrive. We've got about
Okay,
50.
cool. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure it was actually working
Yeah, don't
because
worry.
I'm early today.
I
I'm
always hear
early.
you. We've got about 52 people today, so we're gonna wait.
Holy guacamole.
Yeah, I know, it's getting popular.
Guess what I'm doing right now? Everyone can hear. It doesn't really matter. I am creating a form.
Mm-hmm.
Bit exciting. I think so anyway.
Hope so. Okay, I'm just gonna mute while everyone arrives, otherwise I've got this 7-Eleven noise coming up every 3 seconds. Hello everyone, we've got 11 people in the room. We have 52 registrants, so I'm going to give this another 5 minutes to make sure everyone has the opportunity to arrive. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining today. We have about 20 people in the room, so to start the presentation, we have 52 registrants today. But obviously, we depends on the day. Sometimes everybody shows up. Sometimes we have half of the audience. Sometimes we have a lot more. We waited for somebody to start to jump in, and we have more people arriving. So to start with, thank you very much for coming today. My name is Martin. I'm your ASANA consultant. Today we're going to go through reporting, and we're going to do that at a lower level. If some of you have already come through our meeting about 3 weeks ago around advanced reporting, you will probably not learn a lot today. We're just going to do something similar, but a little bit slower and in more details. So if you have been to that training, no need to come again. Otherwise, we're going to have some very interesting sessions around how we're going to be able to save a lot of time in reporting with ASANA. Before I jump in, a little bit of schedule for us today. We're going to go through an intro, first of the solutions that we are and the company that we are and what we offer. We're then going to have a look at how we capture the information. It's the saying, you know, what comes out is only as good as what you put in. So we're going to explore how we can actually and where we can actually input the information. And you will find that ASANA actually makes it super easy and reduce a lot of the time that we use to capture information, with the objective that we don't present or introduce ASANA as another reporting tool, but that the work we do in ASANA by itself helps us to update the reports and dashboards. And that's really the leitmotif of the reporting today, is to not spend time reporting, but use the information we capture while we're doing our work to do some reporting. Now, the next thing is we're going to have a look at what reporting functions we have. There are a lot of ways to report. It depends in ASANA on which level you position yourself in the system. So that means in some cases you might be the CEO, but sometimes you might be just managing a project or doing a task. And depending on where you are in the hierarchy for that particular project, you'll be interested at different reports, and therefore there'll be different places we can access them or build them. And finally, we're going to have a look at how we can leverage all this input and all the information we report on to take action, so that this report, because we don't do report just for the pleasure of reporting. I mean, it's nice, it's colorful, but we do reports because we want to drive conclusions and decisions. So how do we actually leverage this information, this analysis, to actually do some reporting and take actions? Now, in that space, I probably will try to show you how we can leverage AI now to actually do this. And for the one who are interested in AI, I finally have the breakdown of what functions are included in license type, so can show you that as well. Now, quick introduction, that's usual, always our company. We're Platinum Partner, we're based in Australia, we also deliver in New Zealand and Philippines. We cover what we call low-code, no-code solutions. We help you streamline and organize your business for higher efficiency. And we provide you with deployment, consulting, training, integration, what we call managed services, which is what we're covering today. It includes a lot of knowledge-based trainings and forums of discussions, so support for your user adoptions and improvements. And then finally, we have financial solutions to help you finance your project and your licenses. We work with several key partners at the with our ASANA, obviously, but also, oops, people joining. But companies like DocuSign, Timecamp, Salesforce, and others. Again, and very important today, but I'm going to go relatively quick through that slide because many of you today have seen this slide many times. ASANA is what we call a work management solution. It is not a project management. It is not a task management. It is both of them together with some enhancement. And if we want to summarize what Asana helps us to do, it helps us to spend less time organizing our work and more time doing our work. The way it does that is by leveraging collaboration online in Asana, but also by leveraging integration of data, of systems, and by creating a place where we can do our work and manage our work, and therefore get reports on all this using the data we capture when we are working. And again, this is further enhanced with all the AI capabilities that we're getting at the moment. And I mentioned AI because we see it helps us in reporting as well. But I was not a big fan of AI until a couple of weeks ago when I did this demonstration about Asana AI. And now I use it every day, and it's saving so much of my time and improving the quality of my work. I'm really becoming a big fan of it. So Asana is a work management platform. It will help us to collaborate. It's easy to use. It gives us great integration, great collaborations, and we can also manage goals to see how what we're doing actually helps us as a company, as a team, to achieve better things. Now, this is part of our one-on-one event sessions. We've done quite a few already. So we've built our first project. We've looked at notification and sharing. We've built our first service project. Today we do reports and dashboards. Next time we'll be looking at customizing my task. And finally, we have workflow building. Our one-on-one events are part of our Platinum Partner Managed Services. This is offered to all our customers until the end of March. And after that, it is offered to customers who have managed services with us. Our plan will continue ongoing with trainings every week and demonstration of what we can do. This is open to all the users of the organization, so feel free to invite them so they can benefit from it as well. The price of the managed service after that is only $100 per year per user, so it's not really expensive. And it does provide you with a lot of support for your user adoption and enhancing your licenses, the usage of your license. Now we also have advanced training events. As I mentioned, we covered AI capabilities. Working with Microsoft tools was last week. And next we're doing cross-project collaboration. If you are interested, this is one of the most interesting webinar we have, so I highly suggest you come. If you use Google, the week after we have Google, and then we have a little session around our favorite apps. Voilà. So today, same as usual, rules of participation: participate, engagement, participate, ask questions. Tracy, thank you. Zion, also feel free to ask questions. I know you always ask, love to. Stephanie, I can see you here again today. Thank you for coming. Please go ahead and ask questions. Anyone new in the team here that wants to ask questions? Elizabeth, Bree, Jane, anyone that's just joining, like Jody. Oops. Feel free, John, as well, to ask questions. Matthew, we always love to answer questions, participate. It's fun. We're all beginners here, well, except me, a little bit more. So don't hesitate. It's always fun, and we are here to help each other. Now I'm going to skip that slide, and I'm going to ask you a little bit first before I jump into a demonstration. Today, what are you? Whoops, sorry, I've got a lot of questions here. So I'm going to answer that before I get in there. We do have a recording for AI meeting. Absolutely, Fiona. If you drop me an email after, we will get that to you. Meeting chat. Okay, that has been addressed. It is being recorded. Yes, this meeting today is being recorded. If you have an issue with the information that we discuss and you don't want to be recorded, please let us know. So I'm going to ask you, and please reply in the chat or feel free to voice. What tools are you using today for reporting? If I may ask you, your projects, your activity in Asana or outside of Asana. If you want to just type into the chat. Power BI, we have really good. Yes. Asana integrate with Power BI. That's part of our advanced functionality, John. So we can do that. Jade as well. We can cover that, but this is not part of this training today. We go a little bit easier today. Power BI for Matthew and Planner, Diane, Excel and PowerPoint. We'll surely try to replace those ones. Also, as a note, Looker, we don't cover it today either, but there is a way to build reports in Excel and PowerPoint from your ASANA information. So we do that for you, Reynold, as well. You can use Excel and PowerPoint. We can, if you have some specific reports in some specific format in Excel or in PowerPoint, we can generate those reports from the data in ASANA. Not covered today because it's a bit complicated, but that is part. There's a lot of Excel and PowerPoint and Power BI here. Great. Well, thank you very much for feedback and your input. Now, using those tools, we will find very often we do have quite a few hurdles. The first point is usually it's difficult to export and import data. So you will have different tools. You will need to export the data from one system to another or collect it. So, how do you get the information and the updates on your projects? In the past, you will have to have meetings, ask your team where things are at, send emails, calls, probably still the case if you have an Excel spreadsheet. The other issue is that everyone uses different tools for reporting. So you might have a team that reports in Excel, another one in PowerPoint, another one by email, another one by Word. So everybody can use a different tool to report, which makes it even more complicated. And then as soon as you report, it's usually out of date. So it takes a lot of time to prepare all that. And as soon as you have your report done and you send your project status update, for example, well, it's already out of date because people have kept moving. The other pain points we have is if we use reporting capabilities, it's long to set up when you have new reporting tools. So if you use a new Word document, a new Excel spreadsheet, you need to have it set up, you need to deploy it, you need to input information, etc. You need new skills every time. So if you use Power BI, or if you use Tableau, or if you use PowerPoint or Excel, it's different skills every time. Again, everybody has different design for every tools, and they all require maintenance. So every time you have an Excel spreadsheet or Word document, yeah, there's a typo. We're going to have to maintain those tools. And the problem with reporting and dashboard is that, as we mentioned before, they are here to trigger a decision. So we're having an issue, we're identifying it, and now we're going to try to take action. But as soon as we have discovered this issue, well, we probably have other reports and dashboards and other KPIs we want to review because now we have found this issue with other issues. So it's a constantly evolving beast, those reports. And if we need every time to build a new Excel spreadsheet, new PowerPoint, etc., it's going to be quite time consuming, and we probably won't have the time to get to the bottom of solving the issues. So having a tool that is quite flexible, goes fast, is real time, is the same for everyone, will help us to save a lot of time and also to share common understanding. There's one more thing that's not listed here, is where the report goes after we've released it. I've had so many times in my project management career, someone asking me for a project status report, and then I send it. And then if 2 months later an issue happens, finding the report and the history of what happened is very difficult. It was in an email, it was a PowerPoint, it was an Excel, it was stored on a shared drive, or what was it? It's hard to maintain as a project manager or a portfolio manager a history of all the reports and accountability on who was responsible for an issue when it happens. Maybe we were across at the coffee machine and I was asking how the project is doing, and my project manager said it's fine, and 2 weeks later it crashes. Well, how do I actually explain that I had this review? Everything was looking fine. It's actually not. So all those things leads us to a need for a better reporting capability, a reporting that is aligned with the data we have, aligned with the information we have, faster and actionable. ASANA does provide this in a very, very smart way, which I will detail in a few seconds, and it relies on the data structure of ASANA. So if we look at how ASANA is built, we have those elements that you probably already know if you're in this lesson today, which are the tasks, milestones, and approvals at the bottom. They're all part of projects or workflows with projects, because workflows are the same as projects. And then we will embed that into portfolios where we have portfolio managers, which will manage all those projects. And then we attach that to a goal or a mission for the company. And the idea that we develop in reporting with ASANA is there are two things: the input, which can be, update on the task, on the project, on the portfolio. And then the output, which is going to be, well, the reporting we do and the actions that we take from there. So there's really three steps: input, reporting, and action, which you don't have if you do your reporting outside. You will have gathering information, which takes forever, preparing a report, which again takes forever, and taking actions, which sometimes doesn't happen. So when we look at this data model here, we're going to have a look at each stage, how we will be able to gather this information and report on it. Sorry, I'm too fast. So how we will be able to at a task, at a comment level, a task level, a project level, a team level, organization level, to update the information and to report on it. And then the frequency of those updates may vary between those different positions. I mean, comments comes every 5 seconds. A task might be closed every few days or several days. A project may take a month or two or maybe more. And then teams, they will have like reviews, which takes longer. And an organization is going to target goals that are years or decades. So how are we going to actually get on this timeline together in a nice way, effective at least? Now today we're going to learn several goals. The first one is going to have a look at creating dashboards to get insights, creating workload reports to manage portfolio of our teams and the workloads of our teams. To use advanced search, which is another way to do more operational reports, which enables you to tackle a problem and get into it and solve it. And then we'll have a look at how we share and comment on reports to be able to take action. Any questions so far?
No.
Thank you, Tracy. If anyone has any questions, feel free to add. I have one comment. No, thanks from Jade. Thank you, Jade. I have two screens, but I haven't yet fully worked out how the Zoom thing works. So I should get Amy to help me answer the questions on the chat. I haven't worked out how that works yet. So sometimes I may miss some of the chat. Raise your hand if that happens. All right. So we're going to start by capturing the information. That's logical. And so when we capture the work, we're going to capture it at different levels. As we mentioned, there's usually 3 levels: task, person who executes the work; project, project managers; and a portfolio, which is someone who manages a group of projects. We then also have the goals. I don't really focus on it today because we're in a one-on-one session. I want to keep things as simple as I can. I've been told I make things too complex. I try to stay simple. But you have another level. So today we're going to focus on how do we actually leverage the status update and the work of our team to get a good project status, to get a good portfolio status, and how all that is going to help us to then report. Now remember that when we do report on work, we go through work organization, which is always the same steps. First, we're going to start by capturing the work, which we record what we want to achieve. So status on projects, building reports at the right place, and act, we're going to collaborate on information available to take actions. So I'm going to jump now into a little bit of a presentation within ASANA. So I need to, quickly stop screen. And I'm going to switch to my ASANA. Everything I do it in an ASANA version that you have, that I have available here. If you've come to previous sessions, you will also have access to this. I assume that you have your ASANA as well. I was inviting people to our demo ASANA before, but it was creating issues. So now I just encourage you to maybe try to do what I'm doing in your own environment. So I'm going to do things and I'm going to leave you 3-5 minutes every time. So you can try it yourself as well. Okay. I try to go a bit slower. That been, I've had feedback I go a bit fast. So try to go a bit slower.
That was not me.
That wasn't you. That wasn't you at all. It's not just you. It's not the first time I have this feedback. So. All right. So as we mentioned before, and I'm here opening a project randomly, demo template, could be anything. Can take this one is a good one. We are going to try to leverage our everyday work to report on things. So in the past, so many times you've launched a system in IT and people were like, oh, another admin process to follow, another place to report on things. Well, with ASANA, we really want to try to reduce that, because the last thing I want to hear when I do a deployment after is it's another thing to do. It takes more time in my day. No, we need, and that's one of the key things when we deploy ASANA, we need to make sure that yes, the people who ordered our project as consultants are happy because they get their dashboards and their reports, but that the people that use it every day actually are getting benefits from it, so that they are able to work within the system, and that this work they're doing is going to help them do their reporting better. So it's very important when you roll out, always think about that. Yes, your boss wants a report, but let's make sure the people who use it gets a win. Let's ask them what they want first. Let's then get that done. And so then they have their ASANA, they will have their project, and they will see their task here. And the objective is to be able to, at each task, provide updates using custom fields, using comments, and also using the completion status to provide an update on how my work is progressing and how things are going. And if we do it well, when we map our processes, we define our project, those fields here, descriptions of the task, the comments, and will enable people to work in here and then ask questions and collaborate. And if they do their work in ASANA, then they will just normally click the task as completed because it's part of their teamwork, it's part of their project, it updates everyone, and therefore it's going to update our report. So one of the first places where we want to report is on task itself. You've got two types of tasks, three types. You've got the normal one, which we're seeing here. And you can try, as I'm doing it, to right-click on the task.
We can't see anything. I see your pretty face.
You don't see my screen.
No, we see your pretty face.
That's good, but that's not going to help.
I didn't think that's what you wanted.
No. You see my screen now?
I can see, yes.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. So again, so I'm going to roll back a little bit. We are in ASANA here. We have one project, which is a demo template in this case. And this demo template here has, different tabs on top. I'm going to go to the first one, which is the list view, because it's easier to navigate. And we can see we have different tasks. Within each task, when you click on it, you'll be able to see the detail of the task. You see the assignee, the due date, the project and dependencies. Those are standard fields. If you go lower, you will see custom fields. It's not my focus today to explain you how to create that. We did that in other sessions. We'll do it again later in other sessions. Those are also information you can use for report.
Can I ask a really, really quick question while you're there?
Sure.
With those custom fields, I have accidentally put one into my task and I cannot remove it. There's no option. I can't find an option to. So that likelihood of risk, if you wanted to remove that from my task, how do I remove it from the task without removing the whole thing?
So if you have a custom field here, you go to customize. Same thing if you're in my task, but if you're in your project and then you go to fields, you'll see your custom fields, and then you can decide to delete the field.
No, I don't want to delete the custom field. I just don't want it as a selection within my task or my project.
So you
I just want to
remove
remove it. It still needs to be there because other people use it and they haven't locked it down, right? So
Correct.
I'll talk to you. I was going to ask you afterwards, but I thought it would be quick and easy. But obviously, we'll leave it for now. We'll catch up later.
Okay. All right, so I'm going back to the task. We have those custom fields, we have the descriptions, and we have also the comments. We're going to be able to report on the completion of the task, but also if you right click on the task randomly here, I can move it as a milestone or as an approval. And those are going to be two other status we can report on our work. So if I report it as an approval, it now has those buttons which can be approved, request changes, or reject. Now, when you push any of those three, it still reports the task as completed, but it also reports it as completed with a status which is approved, request changes, or rejected. So those are two ways to complete your task. One is to complete, the second one is to have an approval on the task. And finally, you will also have milestones. Milestones are also another element to report on your project. They only have a completion date, so they can be complete or incomplete. And they can only have a start date, an end date. They don't have a duration, so that's the difference. But if at a user level, there are different things you can report on, think about the completion of the project, of the task, so whether it is completed or not, the type of the task, if it's a milestone, it's a task. And then if you have approvals, that just gives you, it's almost like a custom field on the back, it's completed, but with some additional information, which leads us to the second point, which apart from the completion, you can report on custom fields. Now, very important, when you report on custom fields, there are two different types of custom fields. You have the one that, if I take this one, likelihood of risk, is added to your organization library. Okay, these fields, you will be able to report across all your projects. You'll be able to do reports everywhere. This is very important. If you use a field for reporting across different projects, mark it as a field part of the library. If you field is part of a project template, also add it to the library. Otherwise, it's going to create a new one every time. It's very hard to do reporting after a cross project if you haven't done that. And it's not possible to correct it once you have 20 different projects. So something to do at the beginning. To answer Elizabeth, sorry, Rebecca first, so take a second. Does anyone have experience of setting up a teamwork plan? Will it be a portfolio and workload or a project and workflow? Probably come back to that at the end. I would say probably it would be in a portfolio. We'll probably cover that at the end of the session. No, Elizabeth, milestones can't have a start date and an end date. It only has one date, which is the due date. That's the main difference between a task and a milestone. Coming back to this section here, where we have the project and the custom field, do your custom field as part of the library, otherwise it's very hard to report on it later. Another place where people very often get it wrong is use sections for reporting. So you can put your task into sections, and within a project, it's relatively easy to report on a section. However, if you go and want to do report across project, you will have difficulties with that. There are ways around I can explain, but try to avoid using section for reporting. And if you do, then attach a custom field that has the same value. If we use sections for phases, then add a custom field called phases, and then you can use workflows to have that updated automatically. But you will be able to report across projects only on custom fields that are added to the library. Same applies to reports on projects and portfolios. Now, once we have all this information captured, the next place we're able to report will be on the project. And so when we want to report on the project, we have two different ways. We can go on top here, and we're going to be able to do this really fancy function, which is one of my favorite, is we're going to be able to update to project status update. And that again is part of the input. Also, you might consider it as a report. It is an input from the project manager on the status of the project. And when I do that, I go here. JC is leaving us. When I go here, I have the ability to update my project. I'm going to go back to update the project. I'm going to say it's at risk. And when I do that, I am able to update my project based on the information that my team has inputted. So I can go here and take the highlights, and I'm able here to grab some information which are related to the tasks, the approvals, and the milestones that we've seen just before. And we want to take those tasks and say, for example, I want to see all overdue tasks in the past 4 weeks, or on upcoming tasks. There's not much being reported here. And I'm going to be able to take this and upload that as my report. So it's going to grab information directly from my project. In that case, there's not much because it's an old project. And I'm going to be able to upload that into my project status report to do my project status report. And then I can simply put a comment. And I can also report on tasks by assignee, completed by assignee, completed by section. So I have different reports. I can also update the custom fields of my project. So as you know, we have custom fields on the task. We also have some on the project. So once you have custom fields on your project, we see it's set up at the portfolio level, but you can create your custom field project. You can also update them when you do your project update. So we had our task updates, which were updated from the work we are doing. Now we have our project updates where we don't need to go see all our teams. We should be able to leverage all the information we have here to update the project. And we're going to update our information as a project manager, which is to put a comment, so interpret the data, and also update the key information of the project itself. And then we're able to post it. When we post it, it's going to generate this update here, where we'll see all the history of updates on the project. So we can always come back to the updates we've done and say, well, we updated the status. It was off track on 11th of Jan. It was at risk on the 18th. It was on track, and 22nd of track, it was at risk, and there was no real update there. You can see who did the updates. I can see how that was updated. Now there's a new functions very quickly. It's fancy, but you can use the AI, and that is super cool personally. So I don't know how it's going to work with this project because there's not a lot of updates on this one. It's data. AI functionalities are available on the Enterprise version and the Enterprise Plus version, so the new Enterprise version. You don't have those functionalities in business. When you do, you can set the status if you want, and then you're going to set up and look for a time frame here on your project. So let's say we're going to do from the 1st of January, not much, to today. And we're going to draft an update. We're going to ask the AI to go and read everything that has happened on our tasks, on our projects, on the comments, on the file attached, and try to interpret that to give us a status update on our project. Then we're going to write it for us, and we can review the status update and see if we agree with it or not. Now, you don't have a limitation on how much you can use this in the latest version of ASANA. In, I think, some of the oldest licenses, so if you are on the previous enterprise license, you do have some limitation on how many times you can use those functionalities. And I can give you a breakdown of the AI functionalities and which license offers how much after this conference. Now, when the AI prepares it, it can be quite useful here. It also can be, okay, here we go. We have a project status update. This project is currently at phase 2. Several key tasks are at risk, missing upcoming deadlines in late January and 2024. And it's going to do a little summary here. We can then edit this draft. And we now have the draft here that has been prepared with the next steps and the status update. And we can go to highlights, and we can still put some more highlights on top. But the AI has helped us to prepare that report. And in that input as well, we are able to use the AI to ask it to correct the writing or improve the format. So if you do manually on your input of data and report, you can also use the AI to update this. I can post these updates here. You can see it looks a lot nicer when the AI have helped me to write it than when I wrote it myself. All right. So that is the input at the project level. As you can see, it has many benefits. It can be assisted with the AI, and it will help us to get a good update on the project, which we can then leverage at the portfolio level. So if I move now to the portfolio level, we also have the ability to do updates. I'm going to go to production pipeline here, and we have a progress tab here that will also show us update status in the same fashion as we're doing for task and for projects. So project, we had the ability to update status. We have also the ability to do it here. There is no AI at the moment here, but we have the ability to update the status. And in the same way, we will have the ability to leverage the status that we have on our projects to then provide a portfolio update. So instead of looking at updates on tasks from our team, we see we had 3 levels before. We had 4 levels. We have the goals, portfolio, projects, and tasks. At each level, we leverage the information provided by people or information at the level that is below ours. So at the project level, we leverage the information that we have at the task level. At the task level, we leverage information that we have in comments. And at the portfolio level, we leverage information that we have at the project. So here we can use those highlights to create project updates, list of project on track, off track, at risk, or typically, and we have here, a list of projects and their status, project by priority if you wanted to, or project by owner, and then we can put our own comments in here. My comments. Now, once we do that, we don't have, we don't have the AI to help us prepare the summary, but we still have the AI to help us edit the writing or improve the format. I need a bit more text. It doesn't do it on 4 words, but then you can still use the AI to help you correct or change the way you're reporting. And you also have the history, so you can always come back and see what was reported, what day, with which status. So you can always come back and see what has happened in terms of reporting. You come back here after and you can see previous updates and what was reported before. So it also gives you accountability in terms of reporting. But that's what we have in terms of input. Again, one last thing I wanted to show you is if you go back to your project. So we're going to go back to our ASANA intelligence project, for example. If we look at one of the tasks, you can also use AI here to summarize the task. So if I have a task that had a lot of interactions like this one, there's a lot of description, there's been a lot of discussions, subtasks, a lot of things have happened. I can come back to my task and we can also do reporting on the task. So input on the task, we can say summarize this task. And what this does is it's going to look at all the history of discussions, file, and subtask and summarize what has happened on this task so that I can catch up on the task or do an update on the task. If one of my team members is asking what has happened on this task, it can help me to go faster. If you have one task where there's been a lot of collaborations or discussion. All right. That's all I have for the updates. If you have any question, please ask now. Otherwise, I'm going to move to the second stage, which is going to be our report. We are halfway through our presentation. So if I go back to our nice, beautiful PowerPoint, we're going to now try to report on project, tasks, and goals. And what we're going to do here is to create reports. So as usual, I engage you to try to do the same thing that I'm doing as I'm going through it, so that now we're going to do report on projects, portfolios, specific set of tasks, or something across the organization. Right? There might not have been a lot of things you could do in the previous demonstration when we're doing the input. Here, you should be able to do a lot. Now, if I go back to my ASANA, let's have a look at where we can do reports. Well, the first place is going to be on my project. My project itself, yes, we had the updates, but we can also have reports here, dashboard. Now, this dashboard, every project comes with a dashboard that is already done. That comes out of the box. Every time you create a project, you have this same dashboard here that's created. And every time you add custom fields, it's going to add a report, a chart on your report with the custom field you create. There's nothing for you to do. It arrives this way, but there are some wins and some fallback. The first one is you can customize this. So you'll be able to go and customize your dashboard here. And the interface for creating dashboards and reports is the same on every screen in ASANA. So I'm going to take a minute here and I'm going to ask you to pick a project in your ASANA and go have a look at, try to customize a little bit some of the screens here and ask me some questions. When you do your customization, you have the ability to come in here, you can edit, you can click add a chart. Same thing. When you do so, it's going to ask you column style, so the style, the column, line, burn up, etc., and the coloring. It's going to ask you the axis that you're going to use, and you can pick between standard fields or custom fields. You can also use sections, I believe, somewhere, section. You can use it in a project, you see it's a lot harder to use anywhere else. And then you have the ability to define the y-axis and then some custom filters. I'm going to ask each of you, please pick one of your projects and create one chart. Try to do something that is meaningful to you. Maybe try to see the number of incompleted tasks per people, or even push it harder, show the number of incompleted late tasks per people. Give you 5 minutes to have a look at this and practice. Actually, I'm going to give you 2 minutes and then I'm going to show you how to do it. And feel free to ask me any questions if you have any issue when you're going through the exercise. All right, so when I create that chart, I'm going to click on Add Chart. I'm giving it a title. So I'm going to say it's going to suggest your title. You can leave it there and fill it up after. I'm going to use columns. I'm going to say status. We want chart axis X status. So that will be here. That's not what we want. In the X status, we said we want to know the number of incomplete late tasks per person. So I'm going to say assignee. And now we're going to see the different people assigned a task in the X axis. In the Y axis, we can use different things. So we could use the number of tasks, which is the default section you're going to use. If you were using workload, or if you were giving an estimated time on each task, you can, for example, use that, time to complete. You can also measure how long each of those have been in a specific section, or you can use some other custom field here. In our case, we're just going to use task count. So the number of tasks incomplete per person for this project. So we're now going to have to add some filters, and we're going to say we want to know the completion status, incomplete, and we're going to say some date, the completion date, oops, no, the due date, in the past 2 weeks, could be, or we might have another status we can use, which is task status here, which I think has upcoming, overdue, unscheduled, and completed. Overdue, we do exactly what we wanted, so which is incomplete, and the due date is passed, so we're going to use that. And now we have the list of overdue tasks per P. It's going to help us to understand how our team is doing. By clicking create, that adds this chart into my page. And now I'm able to take it and move it around to different places. See, a lot of people are leaving. We're reaching the first hour. Feel free to let me know if you have some time constraints. Now we have this. We can also have a look and change this display. So we'll be able to use line, burn up, not very relevant in this case. Donut, which will show us who has the most. Numbers, not really relevant. Or lollipop, which is very similar to the current chart. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Now, why would we use a dashboard on a project? Well, there is an issue with reports on project is that they're not part of your project template. So every time you do a project, even if you use a project template, you're going to have to redesign your dashboard. That is a bit of an issue. So why would you have a dashboard built there? Well, mostly in the case of projects that are services, where your project is a workflow. You have tasks coming in with different stages, and you want to have a report on how many tasks are actually going through, which speed, how many are left to do, etc. And it's a project that's going to stay there for a very long time. So you do your project dashboard once, and you can monitor that forever. That's a nice way. That's a very good use case. And in this use case, you'll be particularly interested to one of the charts here, which is called a burn-up chart, which shows you the number of tasks that are created versus the number of tasks that are completed over time. In that case here, you can see we have 51 tasks in total, 32 were completed, and it's flat. So it shows nothing's happening on my project. Equally, when you're looking at a service project where we receive new requests, it's going to show you how many tasks are created versus completed, and you can adjust that per week, per day, per month. It's going to show you if your team is starting to get overloaded, if you are managing to create, to close as many tasks as you receive. In that case, it gives you a really good interaction on and a really good understanding of how your project, your support or service project is actually performed. Now, if there's any question, please feel free to go. I hear some noise. Stop me. I don't have any question in the chat. Am I going too fast? Am I giving you enough time, everyone?
Oh my goodness, I was going to say nothing and I'm going to not say anything.
So you have enough time, Tracy? Am I not going too fast?
I'm all right.
Okay. Anyone has any questions? Only to adjust, feel free. All right, so this is at the project level. Now, if we go, we have another place where we can do more reporting. It's going to be at the portfolio level for a change. Now, it's going to get a bit more interesting at the portfolio level. We have different information, and now we're going to be able to have a workload management system, which is a report as well, which shows me for each of my team members within that portfolio, so as long as they have tasks assigned to them in a project that is in that portfolio, how loaded they are. It's quite nice. If you use your portfolio to manage a team, this is very useful because a little bit as the same fashion as if you use a project for a service, if you use a portfolio for a team, then it's static. So it gives you a good view on the team. It helps you to keep things managed. And then you have a second place you can go, which is a dashboard here. That's going to give you the exact same interface as you had on the project. And same thing, every time you create a new portfolio, you're going to have to redo this report. So only interesting if your portfolio are stable, which is usually 99% of the cases. You can add chart, modify them, but there's a difference now. Is when we start, we have 2 questions instead of 1. We have the chart style, great. We're now going to be asked, what do we report on? So as you know, a portfolio can contain projects and can project other portfolios. And a project contains tasks. So now if we take the example that we had before, where we report on task, incomplete task per project, but we were reporting on incomplete task per assignee. We do the same, and we go here, this time we say task, we report on the axis not project, assignee, and filters, we're going to say task completion status, sorry, task status, and I say overdue. Now this is going to give me a project that shows me all the overdue tasks for all my teams across all the projects, which is quite interesting. Here is some data. Okay, so I don't know why there's no data. Task count, upcoming, overdue. There must not be a lot of tasks in this project. So we can leave this here, but we also now going to have the ability to also filter by project. So we can go back here, and we should have a project filter. So we can filter by teams, by project owned by, or by specific projects. We can do a report either on task, on projects, or on portfolios, and we can also filter by teams, by projects, or for a specific project. Gives us this additional filtering level, which helps us again to get more data. And so if, for example, you want to know how your team is loaded across all the project, that's a nice way to keep track of it. You can also have a look at how many tasks or hours are created in terms of tasks per week versus delivered using a burn-up chart. So we can do the same as what we're doing on the project. It helps you to give a good grasp of how your team is performing. Now, once we've covered that, the next thing we can have a look at is what we call the universal reporting. The universal reporting is here. And when we are on the universal reporting, we have 3 charts. We used to have 2. Now there's this new one that just been released this month, which is the capacity planning, which is really interesting as well. So we have the dashboard. Dashboard will do the same thing as what we were seeing before. So I'm going to open one that's already created. So I'm going to have a look at new dashboard. Oops. Reporting. My dashboard, I think, comes by default. And again, comes with the default dashboard. You can create charts and you can add them. One new complexity level now, on top of selecting which project, if you want to report on task or on project, we can also report on goals now, which is also quite interesting, and on portfolios. Task, project, goals has been added, and we can now filter by goals and do it also. Now, the benefit of this reporting is that this is across all the organization. So you can decide to report just for a team, just for a portfolio, just for a project, or across everything. No more limitations. Which means if you create new project templates all the time and you've used custom field libraries and you put the right filter here, this could be your dashboard, your real dashboard to manage your teams and your operations. And that's the first charts we can do, and you can come up with any sorts of charts you want to do here. The second one, it's a workload. As you remember, we had the workload before, but it was limited by a team, like a portfolio, and we had to put all our team members into the portfolio to be able to report on their workload. Now we have this new workload reporting, which is across the organization again. So if you have team members that are shared between 2 teams, like a designer who works with the marketing team, the sales team, and the production team, then you will be able to measure how they're loaded across the different portfolios. So this, you have your reporting, and you can add people manually to the portfolio. So you can add Martin here. Now Martin is going to be added across the different portfolios and projects. Now we're going to be able to see which project is loading there. Now, one thing so with this reporting, and it's again always the same problem, if you do that and you want to measure the workload of your people, you need to make sure that every of your team uses the same field to measure the effort. Because if some people use hours and the others days, then you're going to have problems to have like a proper reporting here. Okay, so same thing as usual, we do need to use similar fields across the organization to be able to do proper reporting. And now we have the last one that was just released, which I don't know that much, so don't challenge me too much on that one, is the capacity planning. So we are now able to create projects and allocate time of resources in the project in the future. I said it's 50%. We can say Martin's going to be allocated 50% next week, and then here it's going to be allocated 75% on here. So we can see how much is loaded per week on different projects. So he's now loaded 125% this week. And here we can spread that project across 2 weeks. That's going to show us how much is loaded per week per project. So if you see he's loaded 75% plus 50, 125% that week, that's no good. And only 75% the week after. So I'm going to have to adjust. But basically, it gives me the ability to, I don't know why they put that in reporting really, but to report or forecast my capacity planning of my team. And that concludes the different solutions you have for reporting that are in the dashboard section. There is, however, one more way you can use to report. And if we stay within ASANA and the simple function of ASANA without going to Power BI, because again, we can do that, but that's another discussion, without going to Tableau, that's another discussion, without generating some custom report in Excel or PowerPoint, which is again another subject, we can go into ASANA and we can use what we call advanced search. So we can come here and in advanced search, we can create a search. For example, I can search on the task assigned to Martin, or what is the name of my user today, Alan. And I can say, for example, I want to see all the tasks that Alan is working on and that are currently, incomplete. I can search this. When I search this, it gives me the results here. It can be tasks, can be messages, can be projects, portfolios, goals, or tasking templates. And this result I have here is very useful in operations. Be able in operations to take this, say, well, look, I'm going to have a look at Martin's incomplete task because he's actually quite late. So, and I'm going to save that on the left-hand side of my screen by using the little star we have here on top. And because of that, now I have this link on the left-hand side that enables me to see what are the incomplete tasks from Alan. Again, very useful when you are to keep an eye on something that's going wrong. So I took the example of Alan having too many incomplete tasks, but it could be a search by projects, incomplete task, or late task, or overload of people, or anything you can come up with. It gives you these lists, and you are now able to keep an eye on this. Or list of projects that have incomplete tasks. No, could be another. Now, once you have that, you can come back to it. Every time you click on that link, it's going to give you an updated version of this list of incomplete tasks so that you can keep an eye on how Alan is performing and how he's catching up with his list of work, and you can try to help him resolve the problem. That's in the case if Alan is late on work. But you could have any other cases where you go and you come back and you're going to try to update them. So that's the last way you can report in ASANA. Within ASANA, if you want to go further, we covered that in the other sessions, but go with integration to our friend from Power BI, Tableau, or other reporting tool that will help you as well to do more design reports, more advanced reports. So when I go back to my PowerPoint to make sure I cover everything, we're now going to have a look at how we're going to collaborate on reports and solve issues. So as everything in ASANA, we have the ability to use and leverage the platform to actually solve problems. So if we go back into our project here, when we go into our demo project template, and when we've posted an update saying it was at risk, it was sent not just to it was sent to all the people that are set up here on the project, and when I click on share and notifications, the one that have a status update. So if I go and I share and I post an update here on that project, and the people here on that project have status updates in the list of notifications they want to receive, they're going to receive a notification. On top of that, it will be in the list of messages here. So that update that I've posted is here, and now people have been messaged, and they can react to it. Say, Alan, great update. How are you going to tackle the challenges? I do that. I can say, please, AI, edit my formatting. And I can ask the AI to use a more direct way and to make it shorter. And now it's going to rewrite this for me, but oops, use this, put it there. Oops, I did the wrong way. Still learning this AI stuff. But I can do that, and I can post here, and we can then react and start taking actions. So from our report, we can directly have some interactions, and we can start tackling the issues and discussing it. So if you have a weekly or fortnightly or monthly catch-up, where you review status of things, before you go into your reporting and your review, you can start having those updates prepared, and you can start having discussions before the meetings, so that when we arrive in the meetings, we're able to not just review the report together, we've already discussed it, and we can come to some conclusion and be more efficient. That's very interesting. You have the same thing that happens at the portfolio level. So if I go back to a portfolio here, you have messages, and if you put an update, you will also be able to discuss the issue and take actions. Very interesting too. You can also leverage the AI again. You are able to post updates and take actions. Now, on your dashboard itself, you won't have any ability to do comments or take action here. Neither will you have on the general reporting, but you are able on the updates directly. Voilà. That is it for my presentation today. We have covered the three aspects that I wanted to cover with you, which is essentially to capture the information, update on the information, take a report on the information, and then take action after that. I hope that was useful. If you have any questions, can you please send a message to a person assigned to a task, not the whole project. Yes, so when you are on a project, not really related to reports, but when you're on a project and a task, if you want to make a comment on a task, you just go here and you have mentioned the person. And they will receive a notification. If they are collaborators, they will also receive a notification. If you do a report on the project, it's going to notify all the people on the project. So if you do an update on your project and you want only the person who has an issue to receive information, maybe do your report, find out the issue, message the person before you publish the report, so that they can correct the information before you publish your report. I hope I answered your question, John. Thank you, Dion. Have a good day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tracy.
No one says anything.
Yeah, I know it's always like this.
Thank you, Martin. You've done terrific.
Thank you, guys. I have a bit of feedback if you don't know sometimes. Have a good day.